Welcome back to the Bandwich Tapes. I'm Brad Williams, and today I'm hanging with guitarist and composer Mark Lettieri. And if you love groove, tone, and musicianship, this one's for you. Mark and I talk about what it means to build a musical identity in a world that constantly pushes you to show everything you can do in 15 seconds. We get into his baritone guitar universe, why he fell in love with that lower register, how it became a whole new voice for funk and pocket, and we also talk about something I really admire in his playing, restraint. The idea that what you don't play can be just as powerful as what you do. We also dig into the practical side of being an in-demand session player, communication, flexibility, and showing up prepared. And there are some great stories in here, including his connection with David Crosby and what he learned directly from him. And we wrap with what's next. A wild new record tied to a sitar collaboration, more deep volume material, and touring with all the different worlds he's part of. Here's my conversation with Mark Lettieri. Mark, it's a pleasure to welcome you to the podcast. How are things for you today?
I'm well, Brad. Thank you, man. Weather's beautiful here in Texas. We finally had a bit of a freeze, and now it's like 74.
Oh yeah.
So here we are.
My son lives. I have a 24-year-old son who lives in Austin, and he is loving the weather right now. He was not too thrilled about it a couple of weeks ago, but he's loving it now.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, we're in St. Louis, and we had we had like 13 inches of snow that still hasn't completely melted. So yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, shoveling.
Yeah, shoveling. So have you been busy so far this year? Or have you had a little time to catch your breath?
Well, I hit the ground running the top of the year pretty seriously. I went to India for several days for a show out there with some great musicians, and then went to New York a couple times to the Blue Note to help Michael League from Snarky with his residency a couple times. So that was really cool. And then I'm actually pretty much home for the next several weeks, which is, it's, sort of weird, but also nice because I have a lot of other stuff to do aside from just being dad and things, So that's always nice to be dad. But then I have a lot of music I'm writing right now. I've got a whole bunch of new baritone funk material that I've finally polished off, so I'm going to start sending that out to get recorded. So I'm busy, even though I'm not flying around as much.
Yeah, there's always, in that creative space, there's, you're either preparing for the next thing or writing for the next thing or trying to recover from the last thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Yeah, I just talked to. It's funny. I just talked to Taylor Egsty.
Cool.
Week or two ago, and we were talking about those shows with Michael, and I didn't realize he had written all of that music for those shows.
I figured he did do some original stuff. The nights that I was with him was not. Well, there was one night was all music done by Texas artists, and then the next series was all Snarky Puppy B-sides and things like that.
Nice.
But yeah, I figured he for some of the ensembles he had written some new stuff. That guy, he never stops coming up with music.
Seriously. I mean, when you say Texas artists, who are those artists
Well,
that
let's
you were doing?
see. Yeah, we did some Roy Hargrove. We did some Freddie King. We did some Snarky writer stuff. We did Bobby Sparks played. We did one of his
Mm-hmm.
songs. Jay Jennings played. We did one of his songs. Now it's escaping me what else we did. We didn't do any ZZ Top. I was a little bummed we didn't do any.
Little band from Texas, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
did some David Fathead Newman. What else did we do? Some Bernard Wright, I think we did. It was cool. It was a really fun couple of gigs. Yeah.
yeah. It sounded like the format of it was like everyone show up for the sound check and kind of run through the tunes and away we go.
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah,
had a list of what to play, but and a lot of that material was stuff we have played as
yeah,
individuals or together. I mean, gosh, how many times have I played Going Down? Probably a thousand
right.
times. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
it's cool. I like gigs where you can just kind of let it go and it's on autopilot in a good way.
yeah, absolutely. What drew you? You were talking about baritone guitar. What initially drew you to that instrument? As you know, in addition to
Sure.
playing guitar.
I think as it was just different. And I think when I discovered how I could apply it to my sound, it became really interesting to me because I hadn't really heard it used in a groove context
Mm,
where the impetus was groove and soul and funk and pocket. Um,
mm-hmm.
and so when I realized I could kind of do what I normally do on standard guitar on a baritone guitar and it sounds twice as cool,
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this is going to be a nice tool for expression. And so it's kind of this, I don't want to say alter ego of mine, but yeah, it's a tool in my arsenal of music creation, and I'm happy I stumbled upon it.
yeah. Well, and I would imagine too. I mean, it certainly sets you apart too, which is kind of cool. I mean, you have this additional voice. I think. I mean, it's an extension. I think of what you already do, but I think
Sure.
yeah. But it's like it kind of puts you in a lane that a lot of other guitar players aren't in, and it's really cool to kind of hear a different thing.
Thanks. I'm seeing more and more people play it now, though, because at least in outside of genres that you might have already associated with.
Hmm.
I mean, I think a lot of the when I started doing the baritone stuff, the metal guys were like, "Yeah, we've been using these forever, but we've never seen anybody do it like this,"
Right. Yeah.
and um, but I have a lot of friends that play kind of more like blues and rootsy music, and they're using down-tuned guitars and baritones.
Hmm.
So it's kind of cool to maybe it's having a bit of a renaissance or something. We'll see.
Yeah, I have
Yeah,
a good friend who does a lot of, he has a studio in Atlanta, and I've done a lot of like country Americana things with him over
sure.
the years,
Right.
and yeah, that instrument just fits
Well,
so
that's a
well in that.
staple in that language for sure.
Yeah. Did you ever dip into the country space very much playing guitar?
Briefly, I mean, in Texas, it's unavoidable, to an
Yeah.
extent. I think if especially if you're a guitar player, one of your working gigs is going to be with a country artist at some point.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so when I first got out of college and was just farting around trying to make my way as a player, one of my first gigs was with a Texas country singer. And it was cool, man. It was fun. It was different. And I think I got the gig because, I don't think they saw me as like a country guitar player necessarily, but like this guy could play what we do. And
Hmm.
their type of it wasn't the kind of like the chicken picking type of guitar, which I wouldn't say I can do very well, but I can do enough of. But their stuff was more kind of country rock, and so
Okay. Yeah.
they were like, this guy's got some rock chops. He's soulful, get him in the band. And so I played with them for about a year, and we played every honky tonk this side of the Brazos River.
Yeah. I, pl- I played out there. I don't know. Gosh, it's been a while back. I played at Little Red's Longhorn Saloon out in Fort Worth. So yeah,
Okay. Yep.
it's
Longhorn Ballroom, I think is actually what
Longhorn.
it's called.
Oh, okay, Longhorn. I did
That's
not realize that.
yep, we did I think it's I know there is a Longhorn Ballroom that we definitely played at because it's actually maybe 10 minutes from my house.
Oh, really? Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, there but yeah, I remember that was it. And but after that I kind of got out of that genre, and I still sort of associate with a couple guys that are still in the scene just because we're friends, and every now and then they might call me to do a guitar solo on something. But
I had not been too hip to Travis Toy
oh
steel guitar
gosh.
player. And
virtuoso of the
whew,
highest order, and also a major shit talker, which is why I like him.
I just talked to him recently, and I don't know if you've heard Mike Seal's new album.
No,
That
but I'm very familiar with Mike's playing. I should check that out.
Travis is on a couple of tunes on it, and
Okay.
in that we were talking about you, and I know he played on a tune of yours, and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
love what he brought to that, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, Travis is awesome. I've known Travis for a long time.
Yeah, he was he was really really funny. Some of the things that he came up
Yep,
with. So
yep. That makes a lot of sense.
I was reading in your bio. I did not realize until reading your bio that you did advertising and PR as a major in
That's
college.
correct. Yeah, that was my degree.
And or is it one of those things now where you're like, I'm so glad I did that to have a business sense in marketing myself? Or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it does help. It just kind of gives me a perspective of how to maybe kind of develop a brand or a voice or a message kind of thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I always, which I think for me just means it needs to feel like you and it needs to feel natural, right? It should never
Mm-hmm.
feel salesy or anything like that, which is probably the antithesis of a lot of advertising. It's supposed to feel
Mm-hmm.
salesy, but
Yeah.
I think the ads that we resonate with are the ones that don't feel salesy, or if they
Mm-hmm.
do, it's because they're way over the top. It's
Right.
humorous, right? That's the
That
point.
exactly.
Which
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to go that route if I if I have to just go over the top. But I think it was important, yeah, because it's always kept my mind focused on having kind of a clear message. What is Mark Lettieri? What does he do? What are all the things that he does? What does it all sound like? And it's tough because I guess it is kind of a diverse palette of things that I do, whether it's my own music or the bands that I play in or the artists that I've worked for or something. But that is kind of the whole package, and so it's kind
Yeah.
of up to me to figure out a way to deliver that to people so that they can resonate with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I would think too, just and I was just talking with someone about this recently about in music school, they should have like business 101 things or talk about reading a contract or what a
Yeah,
1099 is like. And just,
maybe they
just,
do now. I don't know. I feel like that's one of those things that like maybe some of the schools are now implementing,
it's about
but they
time,
should if they don't. I mean,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I mean, I just think about, and I'm just thinking about that from just the perspective of you studying that. I mean, just that piece of it that I think a lot of musicians probably sell themselves short on, that they don't understand even how to market what they're doing or the best way
mm,
to communicate that to maybe a potential client or social media or whatever the medium may be. Is
right.
there's a, I imagine that had to have been a nice step up,
I
a head start on some of that.
Perhaps. I mean, yeah, I think at least internally I had a compass of
Hmm.
how to approach that stuff because of course it's hard. I'm still trying to juggle uh, my involvement in social media and what that means and how much of it I need to consume and how much of myself I need to put forth on those things and which platforms I need to feed and how often and all these things. But I think I'm sort of finding the healthy relationship with it now. There was definitely some times where I was like way too wrapped up in trying to find algorithms and these sorts, and I was just like, this is depressing. What?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't
Well, and
played
it can
guitar all day. What am I doing?
exactly. Well, and yeah, it can
Yeah,
can like consume your time and your
that's
life. I
true.
mean,
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. Yeah, that I do feel like it's walking back a little bit, and I'll tell you just from the perspective of doing this podcast. I mean, it's like the social media part of it. I actually wound up handing it off. My son actually does it for me because I'm like,
smart.
dude, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I get it,
Please.
man. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Um, one of the things I've always been intrigued with your playing is that I think I'm as blown away by what you don't play as what you do play.
Thanks.
And
I've
and
heard that before.
that's not a backhanded
I'm
compliment. I
like,
promise.
shit, should I be treading harder? I thought I was already going full gas. What?
But it's that I talk about it on here a good bit about just that decision on when to use the pencil and when to use the eraser, and
All
like
right, very cool.
and how much of that restraint. I think restraint is the best. I think is what I think musicians should think about more. And there are times to blow and there's times to sit and listen to
Right.
everyone else around you. But
Totally.
how much of
Yeah.
that is a conscious decision on your part, and is it something that you consciously think about or that you've developed? Is it stuff that you listen to, or is it just a combination of all those things?
I think it is a combination, but it's also consciously ingrained because I understand that oftentimes restraint is what makes a better musical experience for the listener because it just leaves more room for more than just the one person, right? And by what I mean by one person, I mean like the guy or gal whose name is on the record.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so a lot of the instrumentalists that I grew up kind of idolizing of any instrument, not just guitar, they all had cool music that I liked to listen to, and it was cool. It was cool because of the composition, the arrangement, but also just what everybody else was playing.
Yeah,
And they were never records where the focus was just the star, right? And if it was, maybe it was cool for a little while. Maybe there were one or two tracks that were like that, but the majority of the album was just cool music that I liked, and so. And I think and the reason why I liked it is because of the restraint that these players were exhibiting. But then I also, got a crash course in that just playing gigs. A lot of times with musicians that were way more advanced than me. It's where I didn't have a choice but to be restrained because I couldn't keep up.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So
I do.
and shoot, I still feel that way in Snarky Puppy every night. It's like, oh, I'm surrounded by killers. I think I'll just play these three cool notes and that'll be all you need, but I also understood that approach makes a better musical experience for the band and a better musical experience for the listener. And then when it is your time to go full gas, everyone's ready for it. Right.
Yeah.
So it's that much more fun because it's this kind of special moment. Right. And I'll use my own music as an example. I mean, people say like, I listen to your records and like you could play way more and shred way more. I'm like, I don't want to. Like this is the solo. It's 16 bars and it's this.
Yeah.
Listen to the rest of the song.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. And I think that this kind of goes back to what we were just talking about with social media. I think that there's so much of an emphasis now on let me show you everything I can do in the shortest amount of time possible.
Right.
And that's good ideas take development, or sometimes, whatever you say can be said by not saying anything or saying it less,
Well, it just leaves room for you to do more things, like, oh, I didn't have a long enough solo on the album. Come see the gig. I'll play 6 choruses, or like, I mean, there was a YouTube comment I just read. I love Lettieri, but he doesn't shred like this on his records. And I was like, well, yeah, because I'm writing songs. Come see the band live, and it's a whole other thing,
Yeah.
we're still playing the songs, but this is a whole, there's more to me than just
Right.
the thing you heard on Spotify or whatever.
Right. Yeah, you wouldn't it's like
Why come see the gig if the,
right. Yeah,
if
pay for a night out to come and basically me play the record from front to back. Like
yeah,
what?
yeah, it's like, okay. So I like that. I write a tune. I'm excited about the song. It's a composition that I like. I record it. I put it out, and then you come see it live, and it's a whole other thing. And that's the point.
Yeah,
You know.
I agree.
So
Totally agree. When you write for a project or write for, do you have specific? Do you write to the ensemble that you know that's going to be on it, or do you leave? Do you leave some space to let those people kind of bring their personality to it?
sure, I think it's both. I do like writing for people just to see what they do with it.
Yeah,
And a lot of times if they do it exactly the way I want it, of course I'm happy because it's
yeah,
exactly the way. But then if they go, what if I did this and it's cooler, which a lot of times it is, then that's great. I like giving as much direction as I can to know where the baseline completion is me being satisfied. But then if they rise above that into something different, then I'm way more satisfied. Yeah, I do think about who's going to play on it or who could interpret a certain thing a certain way. And yeah, it's cool. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's like building a sports team or something when
yeah.
it's like, well, I'm going to get this guy a wide receiver because I got this guy at quarterback and they're going to work out real, and I wrote this part because he's a great tight end kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a Super Bowl, so I'm thinking football, even though that game was lame.
It was boring.
I think the kicker for Seattle had the most points, right?
Yeah, he did.
Scored like 14, 12, some 18
It was
points.
crazy.
Good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your question, I do like kind of having like little ideas about who's going to do what, and when I give the parts out, just so I'll be pleasantly surprised and amazed.
When you're hired for a session, do you like for someone to communicate a lot with you about what they want, or do you like to have some space and freedom?
I like both. I love it if they communicate what they want because I know that they're getting what they want. But I also love it if someone says, do your thing with this, as long as they're okay with what I do.
Yeah.
The worst thing you could do to a session player, especially if you're working remotely, is tell someone, do whatever you want. And then when they do whatever they want, and you all of a sudden realize you don't like it, and then you ask them to do a bunch of other things that you should have just communicated the first time.
Right. I don't know what
frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know what I want, but that's not it.
But that's not it. Or we were hoping you would have done this. It's like, well, then why didn't you say that?
Right.
Or the now that you did this, we were hoping you could also do this, this, and this. And it's like, guys, have some kind of direction or be open to whatever.
That's it.
It's very hard to find a middle ground there. And I, as a session player, tell me what you want. if you want eighth notes here, you want power chords here, you want distortion there, you want a slide guitar. So tell me these. I'm not going to fight you on it. I mean,
Yeah.
I might say, well, what if we did this? And then if the idea is better, then we go with that. But if yours is probably better, then we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Um, you know, direction is important.
Yeah. And knowing how to communicate it clearly and concisely, right? I mean,
right. Well,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people, the title producer is a lofty word.
It certainly is.
You play something and I'll tell you if I like it is not producing.
No, it's not. That's exactly right. What do you think that, I'm talking just about sessions and session players, what do you think that younger or maybe inexperienced musicians, players misunderstand about what makes a session musician an in-demand and trusted person in the studio?
Well, I think it kind of goes a little bit back to what we were talking about. I think the first step is just being flexible. Because if you do have a producer that has a lot of ideas that maybe don't necessarily align with your core personal feeling about what you should be playing, you have to be able to let that go and take that direction, right? That's why I say, like, please give me direction, because I'm an open canvas in that regard. You can tell me to sound like another guitar player. It's not going to piss me off.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can you give me like a Stevie Ray Vaughan sound? Yes. I'm not going to be like, well, don't you want a Mark Lettieri sound? It was like, well, yeah, because we do, but we want Stevie through Lettieri, right?
Right.
Or whatever
exactly.
it is. So having that kind of flexibility, when they tell you to jump, you just say how high. You don't say why.
Yeah.
And so, being able to try things, but then a lot of it, dude, is just the tangible stuff, like be on time, be early. I love getting to sessions early. I get there early and I say, yo, play the track. I'm going to write this chart now before everybody else gets here.
Yes.
Or whatever. Let me get my sound. Let me get cozy. Let me make sure my stuff's working,
Yeah.
And then, I mean, yeah, be on time. Don't make stupid jokes, which I've done before, and and realize, like, oh, you mean the guy that's sitting in the corner? That's actually the artist. I didn't know who that was. It's
right.
Like, oh, like, don't worry about it. He's got a good sense of humor. I'm like, okay, good, great, thanks.
Good.
Please call me back.
Yeah.
But that's my own mouth getting in the way occasionally. But yeah, be on time, be cool, be flexible, have gear that works. As a guitar player, sometimes, yeah, maybe you got to bring a couple axes, but maybe you don't. Know how your sound, like, I think what a lot of producers like is a guitar player who can get the right sounds fairly quickly. Because most of the time there's not a lot of time. And then the other thing is it being, not getting frustrated with yourself if stuff's not happening as fast as maybe you want it. Oh, I didn't get this in the first take or the second take or the fifth take, whatever. A good producer will kind of help you along through that kind of stuff, but the real thing is not getting discouraged about it.
Yeah.
Trying to maintain some level of confidence that probably you are your own worst critic, and if probably what you played was probably better than you thought.
Yeah.
There's definitely been situations like that where I've come out of the booth and been like, well, I'm going to get replaced, and then you hear it on the record and you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. I was just in my own head about it,
Yeah.
But it's tough. I sometimes I think, like, gosh, if this was the, late 70s, early 80s LA session scene, could I have cut it, because that to me, that's like, just, it seems like that was the coolest time to be a musician.
Oh man. Yeah, I know.
And so I don't know. I haven't cornered enough of those guys to give them their honest opinion of me, but maybe one day. I don't know. I like to think I could have done it, but
I absolutely believe it. Yeah. I think and I think the other thing about it too is just knowing how to gracefully take constructive criticism.
Absolutely.
And don't get pissed off and don't get offended.
Yep.
And take it personally. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and look, I mean, if you're getting called to do something, you're already good enough to be there, right?
Yeah.
So maybe if it's not your best performance that day, like, know that you're already good enough that they gave you a shot.
Yeah.
and yeah, take that constructive criticism and don't make it weird. Like like don't make the session uncomfortable. That whatever you do, don't do that because then it's
And and
then
and
it's
it
not good.
happens, man.
Of course it happens. I've probably made sessions uncomfortable. I'm sure I have, but don't do that.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's yeah, that's all just really really good advice, good information. I think people that are wanting to go into that world need to understand those things, just those kind of
Sure.
prerequisites of it to
Sure.
understand. Yeah. How did you how did you start, like what was it about the guitar? What was it that you were like, man, this is what I have to do?
Right on. Well, there's always been one in my house ever since I was a kid. My dad has had his old 1972 Kasuga Dreadnought acoustic guitar
Mhm.
in the corner of every home. Well, I only lived in two growing up, but they were all there. The guitar was in both of them, and so he would let me strum around on it. And he plays a little bit. He's definitely like a child of the '60s, so he likes his Byrds and his Beatles and Crosby, Stills, Nash, and all that.
Okay.
Jackson Brown. He loves to sit on the couch and strum that stuff. So that was my earliest memory of guitar. Was just my dad like playing. So he was like, yeah, you can just don't break it or whatever. But he would let me play on it, and finally one day was like, yeah, why don't we see if we can find you a guitar teacher or something? And so that kind of started off the whole journey of taking lessons and just becoming absolutely obsessed about it. And I think a lot of it was just time period in life. Like I was 11, 12, I had just started listening to the radio, which, this was the 90s. So grunge was still really big, a lot of guitar in grunge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was already liking those sounds that were coming out of my little boom box. And so I was like, I'll figure out how to do this on the guitar.
Yeah.
And then it was just the floodgates had opened as soon as I learned a couple chords. It's like, oh, there's Jimi Hendrix. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's that. And it was I just consumed it. I was obsessed. When Guitar One magazine came to the door every month, I was just like buried in it, before homework.
Yeah. What and then at some point I'm assuming, I mean, your ears open to, you were obviously listening to a lot of other influences on the instrument than
Oh, sure.
maybe
Yeah.
grunge players.
Yeah. I mean, I think the grunge thing it's still sort of stuck with me a little bit. I'll throw on some Alice in Chains every now and then. But yeah, I mean, I think Jimi Hendrix was definitely a revelation. A lot of those early '60s players, when I was first learning Hendrix, Santana, Eric Clapton, and then it kind of progressed into more technical players, Steve Vai's and Satriani's and Eric Johnson's and Eddie Van Halen's and all that, and then the Jeff Becks and the Wayne Crances and the John Scofields and the George Bensons and the Pat Martinos and the Charlie Hunters and the Eric Krasnos, and it just, I mean, everywhere. I was soaking it all up from every avenue. Sometimes I wish I had just stayed in one lane and maybe kind of perfected that. But at the same time, I wouldn't be the guitar player that I am today if I hadn't gone down so many different avenues, I think.
Yeah.
But then of course it wasn't just guitar players. I mean, I was listening to rock bands and R&B groups and singers, and I mean, Prince is probably one of my all-time favorites. I've definitely said that a million times.
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder's, Herbie Hancock's, James Brown's, Kenny Loggins, Michael McDonald. Yeah, it was like everything.
Yeah.
It's so much.
Was your dad just completely jazzed when you played on a David Crosby album?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, he got to meet David. So actually that was really, really cool. He got to, because he let me bang on his acoustic guitar, he got to meet David Crosby. David Crosby signed a book for him, and he also got to meet Jackson Brown. So
oh my gosh.
he checked the boxes. So thanks, Pops.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of people in you're like, I think maybe the third person in the Crosby universe that's
cool.
been on.
Well, you talked to Becca, right?
I had Becca on.
Yeah.
She's amazing, and I had James Raymond on.
Cool.
So,
wow. All right.
So,
yeah, Cros was, wow. That was so crazy how that happened. It was like I have it on Twitter or something. Like Michael,
I was curious.
I think Cros like tweeted I might be totally messing the story up, but I think there was some kind of thing where Crosby had tweeted something about Snarky Puppy, and Mike saw it and said something, "Wow, it'd be great if you came and sang with us one time." And Crosby was like, "Yeah, dude, let me know like when, where, like we're doing this, right? Like what, tomorrow?" It was like he kind of called him out, you know. I think that's what happened. And
Wow.
so, and then yeah, all of a sudden we're doing the family dinner stuff with them, and playing on what ended up a track or two on Sky Trails, which was one of his solo
Yeah.
records. But he was such a amazingly funny guy, first of all, but really giving, and very like generous with his knowledge, particularly guitar knowledge. I mean, he showed me a bunch of open tunings that he invented, and I was like, dude, you don't why are you I don't you don't owe me this, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, at the family dinner session, he got me and Bob and Chris were just in a circle, and he was just like, "Yeah, dude." And then I tune this one here, and you could do that. And I was just like, "Oh my god!" I wrote them down. In my phone, like I had notes. I wrote a song with one of them. So
Unbelievable.
yeah, I did. That was definitely a path crossing that I did not expect to happen in my career, but
Seriously.
very grateful that it did.
I
So
told Becca that when the day he passed away was the first time I remember coming home that evening and just like breaking down standing in my kitchen, and it was the first time in my life I'd ever cried for someone that I'd never met before,
sure, yeah,
you know.
it was
And
heavy,
because
man.
he was something else, man. Have you ever heard, I don't know if you've ever heard, it's on YouTube, I think. He sat in with Steely Dan one night and sang Wooden Ships with them playing,
I
and
have not
Carlock is
seen that.
playing on it. I need to send
So
that
this
to
was
you.
semi recently then. If
Yeah, it would have
okay,
been, it was at the Beacon, I think. It would have been few years before he passed away. And
yeah, please send that.
oh my gosh, man, the band is just killing and they
Okay,
sound so good. And you can tell he
wow.
is just loving, because that was like his band. He loved Steely Dan, and to get him to sit in with those guys, it was
Well,
incredible.
I think he had a hand possibly in letting them know about us for when Snarky did that opening slot. I think there was some connection there, so I could see how that is true. Yeah,
Yeah, that's I could that makes sense that he would have done
he
that.
may have
Yeah.
put the bug in Fagan's ear at one point
Yeah.
or something. I don't know.
Yeah, man, what a gift he was. That's amazing. What's on the horizon that you can talk about? What all do you have going
Oh,
on?
I can talk about all of it, I think.
Mm,
Well, almost all of it. Let's see. What's the first thing that's happening is as I mentioned that show I did in India with a friend of mine. His name is Purbayan Chatterjee, and he's a really incredible sitar player and writer. And we did a little record together. It started out as his record, and then he brought me in to just play guitar on it, and then I ended up kind of co-writing a lot of it with him. So it's kind of became our little record. It's very interesting. It's not probably anything you would have you might be like, well, I guess Mark would do something like that. It's different,
Yeah.
but it's really cool. I find myself listening to it a lot, and I don't, I like listening to my own music, but I'm like, I'm like, this is good. What did we
That's
do?
awesome.
It's cool. It's like, I don't want to put it in a box, but it's definitely sort of like Indian classical fusion meets like EDM meets progressive rock. It's cool.
Oh,
People are
man.
really going to flip out. I'm excited about it. So that's coming out this spring. And then I'm finishing this baritone guitar record, Deep Volume 3, which I'm hoping for a fourth quarter 2026 release. I got a lot of work to do. Or I might just, take my time with it and put it out in 2027. But people will keep yelling at me about it, so I should probably get to work. I got some cool gear stuff coming around with Paul Reed Smith and a couple other people that I'm working with, so which I can't really talk about, but if you're a guitar nerd and you're listening, there will be cool things for you to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exciting. Yeah.
And then gig wise, I'm taking the Mark Lettieri group to California, to Minneapolis, to Portland, to Brazil. That'll be fun. We're going to Brazil this summer.
Oh,
That's
cool.
going to be announced soon, and also some dates in Canada too. And then we'll be in Europe in November with the WDR big band. So a lot of stuff with Snarky, stuff with the Fearless Flyers. So I try to keep everything on my website and blast it out on socials. So if you're the following type, please click like and subscribe or whatever.
Like and subscribe, yes.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. I would imagine that the variety just fuels everything, right? Getting to kind of bring in playing with different people and doing all that, it just improves every other project you're doing.
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything I do in all the other things that I do. There's a little bit of Flyers and the Lettieri stuff. There's a little bit of Lettieri stuff and the Snarky Puppy stuff. There's a little bit of Snarky Puppy stuff in the session work that I do. Like, it's all this gumbo, so to speak.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm such a fan of anything that I see your name on. I'm like, well, I know that I'm going to listen to this, and two, I know I'm going to enjoy it because I just enjoy.
I'll have to keep some of that away from you then, because it's not all. It's not. There's a few things out there. No, proud of everything.
No, that's great, man. Well, good. Well, I've had a good time hanging out with you today, Mark.
Likewise, sir.
This has been fun, and just best of luck, man. Thanks for the music. Thanks for all that
Brad.
you do.
Appreciate you supporting it, dude.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please follow or subscribe to the Bandwich Tapes wherever you listen, and consider leaving a rating or review. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.